Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hey, girlfriends, it's Kristen, and I'm here with Elizabeth King. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, your topic is so important, I think, to so many women and men, and it's all about fertility, right? And getting that baby that you want in your life. What's the challenges that people are facing today?
Gosh, there are so many, and it's crazy because if you look at statistics for women and men, even within the last 70 years, it's dramatic. And mainly because we live such different lives than we did even 50 years ago, right? Our parents, our grandparents, had no cell phones. We weren't attached to things all the time. We had a different level of stress. And therefore, the level of stress has really affected the cellular makeup of our body. We know that. We know that stress causes issues in the body, and it certainly does in fertility as well. Now, people will say that's not the main cause of quote unquote infertility, but that's really where the big dip in fertility has led over the 50, 70 years, so to speak.
Well, we are seeing that. I mean, we're seeing this decline in fertility rates around the world. I mean, I was just reading this article about the ghost houses in Japan, and it's like there's villages are so excited because one baby is born. I mean, what is happening with our fertility?
Yeah, there's a lot of toxins in the environment, in addition to the stress. Women are leading much more masculine lives. We do a lot of things where, again, before it was, people would joke they would just be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, but really that was the main thing that people were doing. Women had home economics class in high school and then went on to have children. Now we're doing all the things. We lead a very masculine and feminine life, and so sometimes we have to really figure out how do we stay in that feminine energy in order to switch on our bodies to create and get back to nature and really realize this is who we are and the essence of our feminine energy, and have that all work together. So not only that and the toxins and all of those things, but also what is it that we're putting in that makes a difference of putting out. So we do know so much more now. We know that we have the ability to affect change in our eggs. We didn't know that before. We thought, okay, well, if you're 40 years old, you have 40-year-old eggs. Yes and no. We do have the ability to have diet, exercise, mental health, and supplements to affect the quality of our eggs. I, for one, had 3 children naturally over 41, which, for everybody can have a child over 40. I sincerely believe that, but 3 over 40 is a little bit more unusual. So
Overachiever.
I know, but I really do believe that. And I think that no matter how your path to parenthood is taking you there, it's possible. And we really take the approach of mind, body, spirit to attract all of those things. But it just kind of depends on where you are, what your situation is, of what might be causing your infertility. For men as well, the numbers for men is, again, extraordinary as far as the change and the decline in sperm health. But the good news on sperm health, it's really, for most people, I should say, a really easy fix. That changes every 65 to 71 days. So you know that you're able to affect change with your diet, exercise, and supplements on that as well.
Yeah, we can't just blame it all on the girls.
No, and thank goodness that narrative has changed. Amen to that, because we always thought, it was our fault if we had a miscarriage. Oh, it must be my eggs. If this, and now they're finally saying it out loud that, they're 1/3 of the equation at minimum, right? So
Right.
it's really important. If you are a female and you're looking to increase your fertility, if you have a male partner, they need to be on board with that too, taking supplements, not smoking, watching their diet, exercise, all of those things, because it really does impact their fertility.
Well, you said something earlier that I thought was really interesting. It's about being in that space of the feminine energy. because if we don't, we are a container, especially when we're pregnant. I've had 3 children myself. And so we're holding this new life. And
Yeah.
what's so important about the elements of this feminine energy and as it relates to being able to, get pregnant?
Our body listens to the energy that we put out, right? So in my 30s, excuse me, I was building a business. I was paying all my own bills. I was single. I was doing all the things. I didn't really have space for a man in my life. Not that I
Right.
didn't want to, but I didn't need one, right? And that's how most women, I would say, are these days,
I've met a
right?
lot of those.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
better or worse, for better or
Right.
worse. But at the same time, we need that balance of energy. We want to get back to, I always say, when you're practicing this feminine energy, let somebody open the door for you at Starbucks. Let somebody do something for you that you would normally be like, no, I got it. I can do it. Of course we can do it. We know that, right? But
Right.
it's a practice now of getting back into our feminine energy, because that is really where, again, I say switch on, but all of our feminine essence, including our reproductive system, which is so beautiful and so intricate. And it also takes on a lot of our ancestral energy, which I know it can be a little bit out there for some people who might be listening. But if you have family history that maybe there's some wounded experiences that you need some healing on, not that you think it belongs to you, but perhaps maybe something happened to your mom or your grandmothers or whatnot, and you need to clear some of that energy. That can happen as well. So getting back in touch with that healing feminine energy and living in that. Most of us are in yoga pants every day and, working from home and all the things. And I said, put on some makeup, put on a dress, a skirt, whatever. It's like when you get dressed in a suit, you do feel different, right? When you put on regular clothes, when you get dressed up a little bit, you feel different. You feel in your feminine energy. For most people, that's not the case for everybody, but for most people, if we can get into that place of practicing feminine energy, getting in the full moon when the full moon is out, right? Soak in some of that feminine energy from the full moon. Get close to nature, put your feet on the ground, hug a tree. And again, I know that sounds crazy, but you really do feel that connection with the divine or whatever it is that you connect with when you connect with Mother Nature and nature in general. And that's really what we're getting at. We want our body to switch on to say, okay, I'm meant to be doing this. I'm able to do this. The mantra that I always say to people is, you're able to create, you can create. And that's why we have a creation practice for everybody who's along the path of fertility with our group, is that if we're showing up and creating every day, we're telling our body, our universe, everything that we're able to create in whatever that is, right? If you're starting a business, if you're writing a book, if you're coloring on a coloring book or making Play-Doh something, you're creating. And the ultimate goal with what we do is creating a human life. So we're signaling to all of these areas that it's possible to create a human.
My husband does shamanic energy work, and we did a
Ooh.
film with the shamans in Peru. And, you're so right, because I do feel that if we have some type of wound, either known or unknown, in our subconscious minds, whether it's our mother's wound or our grandmother's wound or something like that, we may not even feel like it's safe to
Yeah.
bring another life into this world, even though there's no evidence that it's not safe, but it definitely can create, an energetic block, if you will, that unless you can kind of break that up, it could interfere with your ability to get pregnant.
100%. I meet people all the time. They're like, I'm doing all the things. I've done the doctor, I've done the supplements, I've done everything. That's where we really get into that subconscious work. What else is there? So for my story, it was my losses were girls. I had this belief in our family and I wasn't even aware of it. I was aware of it, but my subconscious was really leading the path on that, right? So here I am with 3 boys because girls weren't worthy, right? It was only worthy to have a boy. So I did a lot of that work myself on that. But at the same time, I think you hit on such a great point. You might not even know that you're carrying this. But if you get to a point where you've been trying to get pregnant and you're doing all the things and something's not working, think outside the box. What else could be there? Talk to your family. What was your story like? There's a lot of people that don't have any idea about their parents, grandparents, if they've had miscarriages, if they'd had assaults, anything that might be
Even
affecting
abortions, right? I mean, like there's
100%.
things that sit there in the field, Bert Hellinger, he does the family constellation work. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes.
that,
Mhm.
but there's this whole amazing thing about how we have this blind identification sometimes with someone in our family, and then we carry that forward and it's interfering with our ability to live the life that we want to live.
Right. The good news is you can clear it really easily,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where the bottom line is, if you do have some of that, don't fret. That can
Yeah.
be shifted as well. So there's lots of ways to get to your path to parenthood, and it's just a matter of figuring out what is the right way for you, and what do you need specifically for your
What
journey.
about like acupuncture? I'm just kind of curious about that. I know several people who got pregnant doing acupuncture.
Yeah, I love acupuncture. We don't have any, statistical evidence to say Susie Q did acupuncture and therefore she got pregnant. But what we do know is it opens the energy fields of your body. And I always say, whether you believe it or not, you are sat on a table for an hour, usually an hour or 45 minutes, and you cannot move. There's very little time in our day that we have a situation where we have to be still. And being still calms our nervous system, right? And in the process of conceiving, we need our nervous system to be calm. We need our cortisol to be level. And acupuncture is an amazing way to have that happen.
I love that, Elizabeth. What I'm really hearing from you is that we as a team with our partners have to find that calm again when our lives are so chaotic and there's so much going on, that calm creates the environment for creation. And I think that that's what a great reminder. So do you have like a mantra or philosophy that you use in your own life?
The creation, I can create, I'm able to create in anything that I do. And that's really what got me to those three babies before I knew I was having three babies, is just that knowing, right? Find what it is in you that you have a knowing of, right? Because oftentimes when we say a affirmation to ourselves, our conscious mind might not believe that. We need to find what your subconscious and your conscious can come together on and really believe on a cellular level, whether that's a small baby step. And once you get to that baby step, you go to the next one that you really have that knowing on to see what's going to carry you through. So my mantra is just keep creating.
I love that. What about like creation self-care? I mean, if you want to be in that creative flow, what might your day look like?
Starting with coloring books, Play-Doh,
Aw.
dancing, creating movement, put a song on for 2 minutes. It sounds counterintuitive to what I'm going to say, but also people are like, I go for a walk and I listen to a podcast. Put on music. You know, when you hear a song from high school or college or whatever, and you just get into that, it takes you back. That's because the music connects with your cellular level, and that's what we want. So anything that can get your mind to shift to that place of out of this cerebral area, especially when you're trying to conceive. We're like, when am I ovulating? How am I going to do this? What's the next step? You know, you get so much in your head. We want to get you out of that. Get into your heart, get into your womb center, do womb massage, do all the things that really help to create space and create a beautiful energy around you. And then everything starts to flow. And if you need the help through that, seek help through it, because the Mayo Clinic did a study in 2013 that someone trying to go through their fertility, or who is on a fertility journey, I should say, is the same stress level as a cancer patient. That's big. And I think people tend to underplay, they're trying to have a baby or they're going through IVF. It's a big deal. And there's been studies to show that now. So we want to be considerate of ourselves and the people around us that are going through that, and really try to get out of our head on that and find help, knowing that if this is just a small period of time, you will get through the other side. And if you need somebody to hold your hand through that and teach you how to create during that time, teach you tools and skills to get to that other side, that's perfectly okay and nothing wrong with that.
We hear so many stories of people who were like, oh, I gave up. I didn't think it was going to happen for me. And then a month later, 3 months later, they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like what you're talking about. You finally like just let it go. You calm down all that mental energy, which has a high intensity to it.
Yeah.
And then you just relax. And then suddenly that space is there waiting for you.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing when that happens to see how your body and your mind all go into the flow together. And on the flip side, for people that have structural issues or have other
Right.
situations that are going on that doesn't happen for, again, I don't want you to, I remember wanting to punch someone in the face when they would say, "Oh, just relax and stop thinking about it and it'll happen." Like it's
Right.
not that easy for a lot of
No.
us.
And that's
But
not, definitely not what I'm saying. I'm
no,
just
I
saying it's like, I
understand. Yeah.
just feel like sometimes, our will is so strong that it takes up all the oxygen. It's like we think we can will something, and it's much more of an intuitive journey.
Absolutely. And sometimes I feel like people lose that connection to their intuition when they're on it because
Mhm.
it can be so stressful. So when you're in a state of stress, you lose that connection with yourself. And
Yeah.
that's why working with somebody to help you find that center of your intuition during that time is so important. And if you are on an IVF journey or a donor journey or whatever that is, that can also be really beautiful and doesn't have to be so uneasy. I try to use conscious languaging. It can be easier than you think it is, really. And having a coach or someone to help you navigate through that can help you figure out how to get to that site faster, quicker, and in a better state of mind.
Well, Elizabeth, you're one of the top fertility coaches in the world. So where can we find you?
ElizabethKing.com and on Instagram at the official Elizabeth King and on a podcast, Creation Innovation, where we talk about creating.
I love it. So thanks for being on the Big Meow.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.